All right, everybody. Thanks for coming back to another episode of the Flatlander Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Schultz, and today I have the ultimate pleasure of having my good friend, Eric McCormack, and you might know him on Instagram as Outlaw Strength. Eric, grateful to have you on here. Thank you for taking that extra time. And I mean, for people that don't know, we've been friends for a long time, and I think that means more to me than anything, but you are such an inspiration. So I'm looking forward to having a little bit more of this conversation.
Oh, I love this. This is what it's all about, sharing our passion, sharing what we love to do on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. So, one of the things I want to start with is you're big with is community. And for those that might follow you on Instagram or don't, I encourage you that you do. If you don't, you're really about working together, supporting one another. And in an earlier episode, I talked about having some personal accountability, but it's also about having a great community around you. What are some of the things that you like to help encourage people and try to bring that out as far as helping build that community? Because you have a great community around you.
Well, it really comes into it's serving others. And that's what we're really looking at is God wants us to use our talent, our passion, our love to work with others. And life is too short. It's very too short just to do it on your own. And with health and fitness, you get a lot more out of it when you dive into a community or you do group workouts. The energy is different. And that's where I really recommend, having workout partners, accountability, people in your corner that can get you there, that can help you along this journey called life. And it's so much better doing it with a team and other people that are like-minded, that really want to improve and just be their best version. And that's what really comes into it. With for myself, I train with all the people I work out with or exercise. I think it's really good. It builds a bond. When you go through hard things together, it bonds you to a different level. And coaches out there, I really highly recommend you train with your clients and spend time and do the grind other than sitting back and just observing. It's a deeper connection, and that's what it really comes down to. We want to build a deeper connection and go through the struggles together.
I love that. And what I find interesting, the reason why I'm smiling is that I work out with my patients. Once they know the exercise, instead of just being the therapist watching them, when I know that technique is dialed in, I'm doing planks with them. I'm going to do lunges with them, and you're right. You build that deeper connection when you do that with people.
Yes. And that's what it's all about, is that deeper connection that gives you purpose. And I think exercise really builds your Holy Spirit. And that's that's really what it's sort of doing, is building that spirit to want to be hungry in life.
I would agree with that. I think that's a huge statement right there. Just really, I think that comes down to is when you're establishing that and doing that, you're really starting to invest in yourself at that point. And then that investment has these huge dividends, So what would you say to somebody who's like maybe on the fence, and you're trying to encourage them to be a part of this group workout? I know you've hosted some bigger group workouts with Mountain Ops, and you've been part of the Mountain Tough team with creating that. So, if you're talking to somebody and they're kind of like on the fence, what do you kind of say to them to help encourage them? Kind of the same things you just mentioned.
Well, the thing is that everybody's sort of on that fence if they're willing to dive into something that's new, and change is hard. Sometimes you get into that routine of being consistent and doing the same thing. And really, the way I look at it is how many teachers have you had in your life? How many coaches have you had in your life? And when you get older, sometimes you start pushing those things away, and it really comes into, do you want to keep improving? And with your physical fitness and health, it all comes down to intensity and energy.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you really want to excel, you have to put yourself out there to do uncomfortable things and to um, be. I really sort of judge my workouts by failures,
Okay.
and that's where
Yeah,
most people don't think about. They just think about a repetition, a number. And for me personally, it comes down to how many times can I fail in a workout. And
yeah,
failure is a hard thing to grasp, to accept. And but that's the only way you grow is through failure.
I agree.
That's what I believe.
You know what, I definitely echo that sentiment, and maybe that's something from watching and following you, and then just personal stuff is like, yeah, growing from that failure. But what's interesting is going back to the community thing is that that's where the importance of community is at. Like, you may go to failure, but I'm going to be right here with you to help pick you up and keep you going in that direction. And when you know
Yes.
somebody's there next to you or behind you, that gives us that courage to take that step to that we might get to the point of failing,
Yeah.
at that point.
And you think of any special forces or things like that, it's a team. They
Absolutely.
train
It's
as a
team.
team, they work as a team, and they're a unit. And everybody has a special gift or skill. And
Right.
we just want to bring that skill up to be presented for the team. But also, we're really trying to build a balance. I mean, that's where I really bring to people is like, where are you struggling? Let's be honest. And a workout, I think that's true serum.
I would
People
agree.
can talk a lot, but when we get in the trenches and we're really starting to fail, that's where we can break through some barriers of what are you doing this for? You know,
Yes.
what's the
Yes.
purpose of this? And realistically, I really like to put somebody in their place by why are you doing this? For me, my daughter.
Yep.
Why would I want to be healthier, to be in the best physical shape of my life? Because I have a 6-year-old daughter that looks up to me, that I want to be a part of her life. So maybe digging
Absolutely.
down deep of what's your purpose? Who's your
Yeah.
purpose? And doing it for yourself is one thing, but you'll work harder for somebody else,
That's a
another loved
fact.
one, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As you said that, I started thinking, I mean, I'll think like, what would be my purpose? If it's me, it's being around for the people that have been there for me. And I
Mm.
don't want to be limited by my physical ability. I have a little bit of control by how much hard work I put in, what I take in for nutrition to try to be my strongest self. But I want to be around to enjoy that life with those people. It could
And
be an
it's,
elk hunt, a
yeah,
hike, a
yeah.
walk, just being able to walk with your favorite person, your family. I mean, that in itself is enough to make you keep training, get off the couch and start getting after it.
Well, we're all going through life, but I look at quality of life.
Yes,
It really comes down to what kind of quality of life do you want to live? And
absolutely.
being physically fit, your quality of life has improved in all aspects.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I don't look of just trying to get by. I want to enjoy this life. I want to
Yeah.
be able to do, and the way I train and exercise is that I know I can do anything on any moment. I know today I could run a marathon. I know today I could do the Grand Canyon. There's things I know because I test and prove it that I want to be well rounded in all aspects of physical fitness, conditioning, strength, endurance, balance, mobility. And that's where hopefully this will sort of break out. There's just so much to exercise.
Yeah.
And I do it for a living.
Right.
And it would be very hard, I mean, for only having an hour a day to cram it in. You know,
Yeah.
you do your
Absolutely.
stretching, do your recovery, do your nutrition, do your cardio, do your weights. I mean, there's just so much to it. And
Right.
that's where having a team or a coach, they can hold you accountable to make it more effective and streamline it so your time is valuable.
Oh, that's a huge statement right there. Like you said, there's so much to do. And rather than feeling overwhelmed at trying to do it in an hour, trying to figure out ways to split that up through the day. But again, having that coach, that team that's going to keep you accountable, that, man, that's a huge statement right there. That is huge. You
And the
know,
way I look at it, it's you can't put a price tag on quality of health. I
no,
mean,
no, no.
it's there's no value to feeling good in your skin, feeling good in your God's temple. And
Right.
when people, I understand, finances and money, but you got to put your money where the value is in your life. And with
That's interesting.
your nutrition, your training, and that's where when people are trying to cut corners with gym memberships, it's like, man, you got to have an environment that you want to go to, that you
Oh,
want to
absolutely.
show up to. So I just recommend spend the money on you. It's valuable. You can't put a price tag on your health and how you feel. Period.
I agree. And I think that was something that matter of fact, I know that was something you'd said before. Like, people will invest in so many other things in life,
Mhm.
but they don't invest into themselves. And even in that standpoint, in trying to eat the right foods, taking the time to exercise, like I said, there's cutting corners, and really the ultimate investment is yourself. And there's that saying, like, if you've never, if you haven't, what is it? It's something where if you have not, once you're sick, you're going to realize the importance of where you needed to invest in yourself, because now you really have a problem,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. You're trying
And,
to do catch up.
and that's, we just talked about that before we got going, just with the rehab thing. And, there's great providers, but if you're doing the work now, you don't have to play catch up later. And usually when you're playing catch up, that's when you already want to be at that goal,
Hmm. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think that's, yeah, spot on when it comes to that. Eric, I wanted to thank you for being on for part today. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to get this new episode up, and then hopefully you'll be able to join me again for we can talk a little bit more on nutrition at this point. I want to thank you again. And if anybody's interested in following Eric or sees him on here, you can find him on Instagram, and I will include that in the link below. Thanks, and join us for that next episode when we hit part 2 with Eric McCormack.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Eric. And then we can just talk for a second, and then we'll jump into nutrition if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
How did that go? How did you feel with that?
Oh, fine. Yeah, we're just talking.
I love it. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to ask you, are you going to do Tough Fest this year?
I don't know if they're going to have me come out. I mean, last year was great. We had, I think, 180 people. But they haven't reached out to me yet to see if they want me to come back out and MC it or be there.
Okay.
Last year was sort of the dynamic was a little different because Dustin was gone.
Okay.
So we had to set everything up like the day before, and it was like a lot of hustle. So hopefully this year might be a little more efficient.
Okay.
But that's in June, right?
June 13th. It's actually Friday the 13th is what I was told. So
Yeah. So yeah, if they want me to come out, I'll fly back out to Bozeman and be a part of that workout.
I'm considering it. We're gonna see. I've got one trip out to the West Coast that I'm doing, and then I've got 2 hunting trips coming up in the fall. And like money and vacation, I've got so much, and I love working out, but I love working out with the Mountain Tough guys too, because it is one hell of a workout.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
They have a great team there.
they absolutely do. All right, we're coming into. I'll just do another introduction, and we'll start with part 2 if that's okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Flatlander Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Schultz, and I have with me my good friend, Eric McCormack, and we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition. And Eric is a trainer, and you can find him on Instagram under Outlaw Strength. But one of the reasons why I wanted to have him talk a little bit about nutrition is he's done a great job with laying out a very simple plan for your daily nutrition. Eric, can you kind of walk us through that?
So with nutrition, first you have to sort of remember that your body is constantly burning energy 24/7. That
Good point.
heart is a muscle that's very active, and the circulation, the heat, the organ function, the brain function. So your body's constantly using energy. And that's where think people are, they really don't remember that. They just look at, oh, how many calories do I burn during my exercise? But you have to remember is that even during sleep process, your body's burning calories.
Okay. Yeah.
And first, I really think about you have to eat for health first before you can dive into performance. So I look at there's tiers, there's levels. So first, when you're looking at general health, we want to start building, trickling into your digestive system. Your digestive system is unique. You know, every single person on this planet has a different system. So you really have to find out what foods react best for your system. And with all diets and fads, you can take a little bit from all of them. So I look at the blood type diet. We
Okay.
all have a different blood type and we have different stomach acids. So it might give you some suggestions of foods that are best for your blood type.
Okay.
I'm O positive, which means that I have a common blood type and a strong stomach acid. So typically, I do pretty well off dense proteins
Okay.
and dense foods. My wife is A positive, and her stomach acids aren't as strong, so she has to limit some of her red meats. And that's where
Okay.
most people aren't really thinking about when they eat a food, the reaction. How is the reaction in your stomach, and how is that nutrition transported? So, digestion is number one. You got to find the right 20 or 30 foods that react best for your body.
Okay.
Once you find those foods, then you sort of have a system. I the simplest way is getting back to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
most important of finding a balance in those days. And if you went to a nutritionist and talk nutrition, they're going to say 50% of your calories need to be energy, carbohydrates,
Yeah. Okay.
20%
Yeah.
protein, 30% fats. And this is just general population. This is just for people that don't exercise or are just living life. When you are exercising, you're putting a different strain onto your body. You're putting tension, resistance, you're breaking down muscle fibers. So it needs to adjust for what your daily lifestyle is. But typically, you need energy for body function, organ function, heart function, body function. So that's where typically people are really scared of carbohydrates these days.
Right.
And we do eat a lot of excess carbohydrates because your body wants that simple sugars, it wants that body. But that's where you got to sort of control how much energy you put into your body to figure your body out.
Okay.
So there's a couple different ways of looking at it. Is I try to be consistent in my calories for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So
Okay.
say if I'm going to be eating 500 to 600 calories for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, during my first two meals, when I'm more active in the day, I'm going to focus more on the energy sources.
Okay.
In the nighttime, before I go into that sleeping pattern, is that when your body recovers, that's where I'm going to have a higher protein, higher fat content to repair that muscle from the daily activity.
Agreed.
So, you have to remember is that sleep process with recovery and then daytime energy or fuel.
Okay. That's simple but to the point right there.
Yeah, so you sort of have to think about what does my day consist of and how much. And that's where you can adjust your nutrition for what your day consists of. So
Makes sense.
typically for most people, I try to give some structure through the work week. So you
Okay.
know how your work week is going to go. You know when you have to show up, you know when
Yep.
your workouts are going to be.
Yep.
So you can be very consistent on that nutrition during the work week. During the weekends, I give people a little more freedom, but that's where filling the gaps comes into sports supplements. So I work with Mountain Ops, which is a supplement company, and supplements are designed for easy absorption and to bring a balance into your nutrition. And it comes into
Excellent.
you need to find a balance into your body. And with like some of the starvation and some
Yeah.
of these things out there, I think it's good for a reset of your digestive system, but to do it on a day-to-day basis for somebody that exercises, that wants to be healthy, starvation isn't the process. It's more for people that have an eating disorder that need a control of how much they eat.
Right.
But if you have a consistent, you know what you're eating on a typically breakfast, lunch, and dinner with some supplements in the middle, that will bring a very good balance into your day.
And I think, would you say that sometimes that's a big challenge for people because, like you said, they tend to shy away from carbs because they don't want to add weight, but you need that energy to fuel your workout, which in turn is going to increase that metabolic rate, and you'll actually lose those pounds that you want to lose because your body's running more efficient. Is that fair with
Yeah,
that?
and if you're diving in and investing into your health, I don't guess anymore. So I really want to know my body is doing. So I do a body composition test, which is I do the most accurate one, which is the DEXA scan,
Yep.
which is a X-ray machine that costs $70,000 that will scan my body, telling me how much muscle, how much body fat, visceral fat, and also my bone density. It's a super accurate, it's the most accurate machine. Then you have like the InBod, which is done through an electric current.
Okay.
Then you have calipers, you have the hydrostatic, which is submerged in water. There's a lot of
Yep.
different tests, but this is what I do for a living. So I want the most accurate test to show people is like, if you do the work and you have a plan, it works,
Yeah,
but
I
you
would agree with
have to
that.
know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think one of an important thing that you just mentioned was taking the time and the money to have like a scan like that done and get the right information, because even in therapy we look at is like you'll find a baseline and you
Yes.
need that baseline. Then as you start making those changes, you can redo that test, see where those changes are, and you're going to know right away then. I mean, you're going to hopefully you're feeling better, but then you'll see those changes as well. And then like this is the type of plan I need to be on, or maybe you're going to have to modify stuff, and then you can do that again. And again, it falls back to what you said, just being able to be invested in your health, because that's going to keep you on that right track and always make sure you're trying to put the best plan in place and then trying to execute that plan.
Yeah, and there's other tests you could do out there. You can find out what your basic metabolic rate is. So there's a machine that you just breathe into because we
Okay.
use our energy through our breath,
Right.
and it will sort of tell you exactly how many calories you burn on a typical day doing nothing. So that's a very important number. The trackers,
Yep.
best investment you can use. I mean, I know they're not accurate. People are going like, no, they're not going to super accurate, but they're going to put you in a ballpark. They're going to put you in the
Absolutely.
infield playing baseball.
Absolutely.
And that's where most people are in the stands watching. And
Yeah.
we just need to bring them in that they're actually catching some balls and understanding is that the more active you are, the more energy you put out, the more calories you got to put into your body. And it's a process. It's a
Absolutely.
lifelong process. It's not just a temporary 90-day cut and then you go back, I'm good. No, that's not how it works.
I, you know, I, ag- I couldn't agree more with that, just because, I mean, those are the things we try to, even I'll come back to therapy again, or even with training, is trying to help establish what's going to be a lifelong change, because that's where it comes into,
Hmm.
it's a lifestyle change. And, you think about when we weren't taking care of ourselves, how we felt and how we feel now. If that's not enough drive to help you along with those other goals, like we were talking about, doing it for somebody else and things like that, that should help keep you on that track as well.
For sure. And
You
just
know,
remember is that obesity is like running rampant in diabetes in our country. So
absolutely.
everybody's carrying extra weight. And the heavier
Yeah.
you are, the more energy your body has to put out. And you're restricting your organs with blood flow. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where it comes into it. We want to make your heart more efficient so it runs longer and it runs better.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
the visceral fat, the fat that's around your organs, you have to know what that is doing to your heart.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you need to know. I mean, you go get a physical, you go get blood work, go to that next level, go get a body composition test and just see where you're at. make some adjustments in your nutrition, make sure that you're doing fat burning cardio, because everybody needs to lose 10 pounds of body fat. Everybody
Yeah.
does.
I'd say pretty
And
much everybody, a lot of people for sure anyway, including me,
99.9%.
including me. So, you know,
So you got to spend 3 to 4 hours a week of in that fat burning zone, and the trackers will tell you. It's not
yeah.
like you're really working hard. You're just maintaining that perfect heart rate to
Yep.
melt fat cells. And that's where
Yeah.
I think people sort of miss it. They think I need to work harder. No, you have to be more efficient.
Oh, yeah, I think that's the key. You hit the nail on the head there, efficiency with that.
Hmm.
No different than working with weights. Muscle will burn more fat, but you still need to do that slow fat burning cardio to help, with that muscle that you've added on to help make you more efficient. I should say are efficient at burning fat, right?
Yes.
And besides, like you had touched on, like we don't think about the heart. That extra weight we carry on is so much harder on our heart. That
Yes.
extra weight, like you said, with the organs, the visceral fat that can be around there. So getting into that cardio, but then making that part of that routine, you're
Hmm.
improving your cardiovascular, that heart strength while burning that fat. That's making your heart work even harder, and you become more efficient over time with that
And it
as
really
far
comes
as
down
body
to
functions.
you think of circulation. That's really what we're
Yeah.
trying to do is just circulate blood through the body and
Yeah.
nutrients. So if listeners out there, if you can start your day with some fat burning cardio and just when you wake up, get your body moving, circulate that blood, your day is going to be better. You're going to feel better, your joints, your ligaments, your body. And then if you can do your weight training later in the day after you had that circulation, you're going to have a lot better training session and you're going to be more efficient.
Yeah.
So if you can just wake up in the morning when you're stiff and you're groggy, just get on that a nice good walk and move that body. And then later on, after you get a couple meals, do your weight training session, you're going to be a lot better off.
I think that's fantastic advice there. And I think that's just a real simple goal, but an attainable goal that we can all work on. Get up, get moving at that point,
Yes. Yeah. Don't
No,
overcomplicate it.
yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I know. I think that's fantastic information, and it's laid out very simply. Let me ask you this: you had gone back to wanting to your blood type to determine what your body can efficiently take in. So, is there a particular test that you can go in and ask to your healthcare professional or
No,
nutrition person?
you just go in and donate some blood.
Okay.
It's important to recirculate that blood, get some of that blood out, and people need it. The
Yeah,
hospitals go
absolutely.
out and donate some blood, give back, serve others, and then they're going to tell you what blood type you are.
Okay.
And then all you do is just Google blood type diet for your type, and it will give you food suggestions.
Okay.
I'm not saying live by it, but it's a variable that you can actually make some scientific approach. For me, I'm supposed to avoid funguses. So
Okay.
mushrooms and things like that, I still eat them, but
Yep.
I just sort of pay attention to how much I eat you
Okay.
know so it's all about just really fine tuning your machine. Your body's a machine and it
Right.
needs certain things and it's a vessel. So fine tune this car, start taking detailing it out, find the
Heck
right
yeah.
oil, the right gas, and just start monitoring what you're doing.
Nope. I think that makes sense. I will add into this for anybody listening too, is as you get older, your body will also tell you things that you can and cannot handle.
Yes.
So take my advice, do what Eric says a lot sooner before you start getting older at that point. I want to thank Eric for being a guest today. And if you want to follow him, please check him out on Instagram at Outlaw Strength. He is a fantastic man of faith, and will help motivate you. Please come back again for our next episode, and we're going to talk a little bit more about health, fitness, and wellness. Thanks again for listening. Take care.